Hey, how's it going, guys? It's your boy Bush here, coming at you with another tutorial on an advanced guide of the Conan Dev Kit, more so on armor this time, on how you apply your armor to skeletal meshes properly without having any issues. Common problem is there's a lot of hierarchy issues. People import a skeletal mesh from the Conan Dev Kit to work with, and then they'll try to export it from, say, Blender or Maya, whatever it is, and it comes back in, and there's a lot of issues going on. I'm going to be addressing them on how to go around the problems and how to properly get them in and working. That way you can apply them to the armor. I'm also going to be going over sort of how to set up armor, going over the stats, and some variations on how to add a lot of details with your modifications, things like debuffs and stuff like that, but also like your heat and other items like that. Going to be going over everything basically in the same kind of sense as I did with the armor or the weapon tutorial. This is just going to be the implementation of it. For this, I am going to be using Blender. It's free, so there should be no issues with that. A lot of things can transport over to other 3D modeling programs, but if all else fails, you can't figure out how to convert it from Blender to the other 3D modeling programs. Worst case scenario, you can just download Blender, it's free, import your model there, and use the same steps that I'm using here to essentially import them into the Unreal Engine. First thing you will need to do is you're going to need to come over to the Conan Dev Kit. Just click on Content and just type in SK Human. And then you'll need the male, that one right there, and the female version, because you're going to have to create armor for both the male and female, because they use different ratios in terms of size. You're just going to go ahead and right click on both of those asset actions and then export them. And then save them to whatever. I've already done that, so I'm not going to export them again. But what we're going to do, once you have that, you're going to go in Blender, you're going to go over here to File, Import, FBX, and then you're going to find where it is. You can have the whole model. For me, I'm just going to be using the head, whatever item. You can use the whole model because we're not going to be transporting the mesh from the model to it, so you can pretty much pick anything you like. I'm just going to go with the head for this one, and right now I'm doing the male. Once you have that imported, the next thing you need to do is you're going to have to scale that to the model. That's why you kind of need the whole one if you're, say, doing the chest piece with the arms. That way you can properly do that. Main thing you're looking for is a nice tight fit, and you don't want any of the head poking out or anything poking out that is going to, like, no, that's not poking out. Pretty much just going to make sure no skin is poking out, or else when you go into start playing it into Conan, it will the skin will kind of poke through. If you don't have that area skinned deselected, which I'll show you how to kind of set that up. I'll also be going over the gender variations, how to set that up properly so your armor is going on here. Yeah, don't mind the meshes, right, or the textures, I mean. I already have those set up ready to go in the Unreal Engine. It's just kind of all over the place right here because there's no need to apply them. Your textures will not apply when you import the meshes. It'll be essentially a blank texture. It'll take all the textures you have on here and just throw the Unreal Engine default texture on here. But next thing you want to do is from here, you're going to go ahead and open that up. And then this is the one I brought in. This is my mesh. that I'll be using. It just happens to be the object that I have. Oh, actually, no, that's not the one. That's a different one. That can go bye-bye. That's the model I have. This one is the skeletal mesh that I'll be using. You're going to go ahead and just open them all up, and then you're going to click, drag it into the B root, the first one, not this one. And then you're going to hold down shift and then drop. That's going to bring that in there. Next thing you want to do is go ahead and select that, and you're going to go down over here to this wrench icon for the modifiers. And you're going to have to add modifier, go over to data transfer, and then over here at the source, you're going to select the whatever that is right there in the other one. That's going to be your source. It'll be the only one that's going to be in there. Then you're going to drop down, click vertex data, select the vertex groups, and then generate data layers. Don't apply it or else it'll go away. Add another modifier, and this is going to be the armature. From there, you're going to go ahead and select B root. That's going to connect it to that. And then now your helm is properly connected to the skeleton. Now you're going to go ahead and select vertex groups and shift click and select everything under your model. Then you're going to control and click on the B root. Do not select any of this. Don't select that. If you select that, the face will show up in your model, and you'll have issues with that and with your actual character model. It'll show the other face. So from there, we have everything selected. Then you go to File, Export, and then FBX. Then what you want to do is select Limit to Selected Objects Only. That way you're only going to export the things you have selected. And then you're going to want to go ahead and name it. Then go ahead and export your FBX. And then we're ready to hop over into Unreal. Then you're going to go ahead and go into your mods folder. Get rid of that. Then I already have one kind of made. That's the wrong one. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that because that's no longer, I'm no longer going to be using that. Just force delete. It might take a minute. And if so, I will go ahead and skip to the next step. Alright, we got that deleted. Next thing you want to do once you're in your mods folder is you're going to go ahead over to import, and whatever you named that, you're going to want to go ahead and import it. Now from here, this should pop up. Skeletal Mesh and Import Mesh should both be selected automatically. If it's not, you messed up something. Now, just going over here, TOAs needs to be checked. All of this needs to be checked. Smoothing groups might not import. That's okay. The Unreal Engine will automatically apply the smoothing groups. This needs to be set to import normals and tangents. It's usually in compute normals. You want to import them and the tangents. Go ahead, create the physics asset, import animations. All of this should ought to be kind of selected, but just in case, you're going to want to make sure import meshes and bone is selected, import custom attributes. All of this selected as it is. You need to slow down all that. Again, we're not really going to import the materials or textures because it's just going to apply. So, but go ahead and just import that. Depending on your model, this might take a minute or two. And there. Really, the only, you're looking for no errors. If you have some errors saying, hey, there's a common one might be if you're using multiple objects and you like applied those and you didn't properly apply them to your mesh, it could say, hey, this object, there's no vertex group that was found for this, and then that object from your mesh will just be floating around. So really, all you want is the no smoothing group information, but it'll auto smooth for you anyways, so it will be okay. And then from this, I'm actually going to go ahead and delete that because it's not actually used. Actually, I created a small error. I forgot to do something. From there, import mesh. We're just doing the same. What I forgot to do is skeleton. You want to select whatever skeleton. For armor, it's going to be the SK human skeleton. There's no male or female version. Both of them use this. You're going to go ahead and make sure that's selected. Everything else is the same. And then you're going to want to go ahead and import it. And there we go. It technically could have been fine because it would have used all of the things, but that would just cause a lot of problems that you wouldn't want to do. So make sure you apply the human skeleton. That way it uses all the animations that are already applied to, say, when you're swinging a weapon or walking, running. Just go ahead and save that. And then we're going to go ahead and open this. This is now this is your mesh. You want to make sure everything is good and smooth how you kind of left it. Everything seems kind of fine. Yeah, we're all good there. Not quite used to how Unreal Engine moves. And then you want to go ahead and apply your textures. I've already gone. Textures are already basically made for this. Alright, now your helm is in the game and it's ready to be used. But how do you actually apply it to it? Well, first you need to actually make the data table. From this, I'm going to kind of be continuing on from the data table that I made that you should have been able to make in the first one. And I'm assuming, as I said, this is more of an advanced guide. And so I'm kind of going over the same thing on how you want to set that up. But all you do is in your new data table is you go ahead and just add a new data table row, and then from there we'll just kind of go on. I haven't made an icon for the armors yet, so that you just select the icon. This is going to be the name. The short description is going to be what it is when you like hover over it in your or select it in your inventory, and then the long description is kind of going to be in your info tab. The icon layers, that's fine, just leave that alone. The item class is going to be your blueprint. I'm going to be going over how to make a blueprint specifically for yours. It's going to be, we'll be going over it a bit faster because it is basically the same process as the weapon guide. All of my guides are kind of be going in a sequential order, so if you're kind of lost from something, just watch the previous guides. But this is going to be the blueprint, same as your weapon. If you don't know really what, just find another helmet and slap the same blueprint on it. It'll work. And then for visual object, rock 1. It's not really max stack size. Equip location, this is going to be for helms, it's 3. But just look in the regular item table for a similar item and see what equip location it is. That way you kind of know. Helms are 3. GUI category, it's armor. All of this stuff, unless you are applying, actually no, particle effects would also be in the visual object. I showed you all how to make particle effects. The process is the exact same for the armor, for the particle effects. The flag items, of course you want to make it, can be looted. This can be whatever you want it to be. It's kind of, they're pretty self-explanatory right there. Of course it can be looted. If it's not selected, it will be destroyed on whenever it, like, say you like apply it to a thrall or something. If they die, it'll disappear. Armor value, that's just going to be the base armor value. Armor type, 10 is light, 100 is medium, and 1000 is heavy armor. Sound surface 37, that's kind of a heavy armor. Weapon type, all of this stuff, it's not a weapon. Stamina, all of that kind of stuff. This first bit doesn't matter. And then the encumbrance weight is how much it's going to weigh, and this is how much stamina cost multiplier is just going to be how it affects your stamina when you're doing stuff. It's just base value. Same with the stamina cost climbing modifier. It's just how it's going to affect how much stamina you use when you're climbing. And now the first bit of this, all the way up until we get to item tier, it doesn't matter because it's armor. 5 is going to be your standard legendary armor. Something else, you're going to have to make a custom row name, and that's going to be important later for when we assign gender variations. And then all of this stuff doesn't matter. You keep it at 0. Knockback, all of this stuff is just knockback. Knockback defense is going to be kind of your main one. That's typically, there's not a lot of knockback defense on armor usually because it's usually applied to weapons. So for durability, this is going to be 0 unless you want it to be like a special item that like someone gets that they can only use for a certain amount of time. Max durability, it's kind of self-explanatory. Repair items, this is going to be the item ID that you want it to repair for like the material, and this is going to be the amount or weight you can choose. Affected by damage tiers, doesn't really matter, it's armor. Weapon XP, repair XP I mean. That's just how much XP you get for repairing. These are modifiers. These are your fluff text. Again, it's just the little icons that say, hey, it's legendary, it's armor, stuff like that. And the rest of this stuff doesn't really matter. Now, a big one is going to be, how do I apply the armor to visuals? Well, you're going to need a variations table. And it's going to stem from, if you just type in, go to content, type in variation. Oh. And it's going to be the equipment variation table. Just go ahead and double click this. This is going to be what piece of armor is going to be applied to that item. That's why you need the row name. The row name is going to be the exact same as the item in your inventory table or your item table. So the row name is going to be equivalent. That is going to be how it pairs with the actual item itself. Now the actual how you make one of these, just go ahead, go in your mods. Go ahead, just right click anywhere. Gonna go down to MISC data tables. Then go ahead, click this drop down menu, and let's see where it is. Alright, sorry about that. It took me a minute to kind of find this because there's no like way to type it in. Just scroll all the way to the very top, assuming we are on the same one, and it's going to be called the equipment gender variations. Then you're just going to go ahead and select that, OK, and then pop that up. I already have one made, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and go back over to it. Something like this. Since you just made the new table, it is going to be completely blank. And then the next thing you want to do once you've made your table is you're going to want to go back into your mod controller because you need to merge the data tables. It's going to be the exact same method as you would for the item table. Let's see. All you're going to do is once it pops up, I'll show you. Seems like it wants to take forever this time. Alright, it popped up, and from here, literally all you do is right click, merge data tables. Select target self, then you're going to the merge into, this is going to be the variations table, and then whatever you named your data table. from there, and then from there you just select from there. I've already done this, and there's no need to have duplicates, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Then you just compile and save. Now your data tables are merged. Now how do you actually use this data table? First thing you need to do is add a new row editor and name it the exact same thing as you named it in your data table, your item data table. Then let's see, this one was that. Then you're going to, for the male, and all of this stuff applies exactly to the female variation as well. And then you're going to want to go ahead and just click the drop down menu and enter it. Then the slot type, whatever it is going to be, this is a head, so it's helmet. This is going to be also all of this, so just look to a similar item and find it. And then from here, the physics material, whatever kind of sound that you want it to make, or whatever physical material it technically is. And then this is going to be your die flags, if you want to be able to set that up and make variations of that. This is going to be tuck flags. The tuck paths is kind of just how your armor is going to change if another item is on. I personally make all my armor sets to fit with each other, so that's not necessary for me. But if you want it to be like more compatible with other armor, you might want to make a variation of it. That way, if they put on like it's a chest piece, they put on another pair of pants, there's not going to be a lot of clipping issues. And then the tuck flags is going to be what you want it to cause to tuck if someone puts that type of armor on. And then the mix flags, this is going to be what is hidden. So for helmet, it'll hide the whole head, including your helmet. It'll hide whatever's in that slot too, so it'll hide everything. Hair, pretty self-explanatory. Head. Forearms, this is mainly going to be used to hide if you have armor that, say, like is a close fit all the way down the arm. The forearm, you want to have that selected so it hides your bracelet. Hands, upper body, lower body, legs, feet, that's self-explanatory right there. And then facial hair, this is mainly for if you have a helmet that goes over the lower part of the head, that way the beard's not sticking out. And then from this you're just going to go ahead, file, and save. And then that is good to go. Now for the blueprint for the armor, this is going to be a very similar kind of thing to the weapon, so I'm going to go over it pretty quickly. Let's see, what was it called again? So in the content, you're just going to go ahead, type BP base game. I already forgot what it was. Okay, it's game item armor. So it's just BP game item armor. And you're gonna want to pick one of this might, if you open that up, it's gonna pull all this stuff. So that's kind of gonna be the base route. It's better to just open up one of these. It doesn't matter which one, and then file, save as, and then you're going to want to go ahead in the same method as the last one, save it, give it a unique name, and save it into your own mods folder. And then from there, we're going to go ahead, go back to it and say we're doing the helm. I already have one made. We're going to just go ahead and open it up. And this should look pretty familiar. It's the same data table that we made from last time. So for the whatever, but for the slot, it's just going to be whatever item it is. So it's a head. Go ahead and have that selected. This stuff doesn't necessarily matter. This just can't repair text. And then this all doesn't matter. Max repair from item. This is going to be how much it repairs from a particular item. That doesn't really matter because you set it up in your item table. This doesn't matter. This is just going to be a particular type of modification kit list. The buff list, this is how you apply various buffs. Like say it's a helmet, you want it to have the underwater breathing. That's already in the base game. So you just hit add element and then drop down and whatever. And I'll briefly go over, since I kind of showed you all how to make weapon procs. Buffs are literally the exact same. It's just you're just changing values of it. And then say we're going to go down here, sound that's already set up in the item table. Repair ticks per tick, that doesn't really matter. It's how much of a percentage is repaired when you throw like a armor patch on it. DLC package, just I'd leave that as none. Can use all climbing, it's armor, so it's going to stay on you anyways. Item tags, that's already kind of set up. Just leave that as none. Weapon, it's not a weapon, so don't worry. Stat modification, this is going to be the same method, just type in on the Conan Exiles dev kit, just type in Conan Exiles dev kit stat IDs. It'll all pop up. The two that are not really going to pop up on there are float stats. This is going to be your, I believe this is the cold weather protection, or the, yeah, the cold weather protection, and then the hot weather protection. This is just going to be the add, that's the stat IDs. It's a float ID, so you're going to make sure it's float. And then the modifications value. I believe 2. I think it's might be 4 is a bar. It's roughly a bar. Is 4. So I forgot the exact value of it. I never really found that out, but 4 is roughly a bar. It's not. It doesn't, like, if you're a little, like, just 0.1% into the next bar, the whole bar will show. So it's kind of rough to, but roughly 4 is a bar. Then you just compile. I'm not really gonna. There we go, and then just save. That little message shouldn't pop up. And then there you go. You made your blueprint from stats and bonuses where you do it. Main thing you want to do is buff. Just type in buff and then go over to content, and this after buff, it's going to tell you what type of buff it is. So if you're trying to look for like a temperature or like a heal over time effect, whatever you're looking for, there will and you want to change it, it will be in here. One thing, just a little tip, if you want to make movement speed, I will make a separate video going all over the buff system. If you just type in slow, I think it's slow. Might not be slow. Let's see, where's it? Oh yeah, slowed. That is how you create movement speed modifications. So if you want to have like a pair of pants that make you run faster or something, just put a negative value in there. It'll work. I'll go more detail on each type of buffs in a later video. That way it more understandable into which buffs do what. And then, oh, I messed that up. Oh well. And then from there, we basically have it all set up almost. And all you really want to do, whatever buff you made, you just go back into that item table, just hop up in the Helm, and then you just add that and then say buff. You just find out whatever you saved it as. And then we're good from here to go back into our original data table to go back and find whatever item it is. And then whatever base game item armor that you made, just select that one. And it will apply that blueprint. And then from there, the particle systems is the same, but one thing with armor, it uses a skeletal mesh, so if you're going to use the visual object as a particle system, it will be a static mesh. So if you want it to kind of flow with you, it won't actually attach itself to the bones. It'll just be there. And then that is pretty much it, and it's ready for testing. If you just hit play. This might take a minute. I'll go ahead and skip forward. Alright, we're loaded in. Mine already had that, my guy already had that attached to him already. But in the same, you just shift insert. And then to open up the admin panel. And you just go over to your other. And then whatever you named it. And then go ahead and just select that. And it will, if you don't have armor, it'll usually auto-apply. And then from there, you can, V's a little bit easier to move around. Inspect your model. Make sure no actual bones or part of your head sticking out of it. And you're pretty much good to go from there. Thanks for watching. I have a few videos in mind for the next one. One of them is going to be like an advanced mesh, how you set that up. See how you have this issue where on the legs, when he's kind of bent, it's flowing through. And if you actually jump on parts of that, I'll show you how to actually set up your mesh properly when you apply it to anything. That way when things bend, they don't have these issues of kind of your meshes being pushed into each other. But that will pretty much sum it up for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on next one. Oh, I thought I saw something weird, but it wasn't. Yeah, I'm actually going to change that texture, but thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.